session as well. Right. So in today's class, we're supposed to be going with the Trojan attacks, but before we do so, a certain setup is required. I did explain in the last class, I suppose, that Trojan applications are a two-part application. You have a Trojan server and you have a Trojan client. Okay. Just in case, just to recall, I'm going to show this diagram again. So whenever you talk about the Trojan attack, you have an attacker machine here, a victim machine here. Okay. So this is the attacker. And this is the victim here. Okay. Now in the attacker machine, we install something called the Trojan server, TS. Trojan server is the application to connect to configure the Trojan settings. Okay, what kind of a connection should it be? What port should it open? What IP should it connect on? All of those details are mentioned in the Trojan server. And from the Trojan server itself, we create a Trojan client as with TC. And this TC is sent to the victim here. And once it is sent, that Trojan client initiates a communication between the server and the client. And now the attacker can remotely access the entire data of the victim. Okay. Now this connection, guys, is of two types. There's something called as a direct connection, and then there's something called as a reverse connection. Okay. Let me explain both of them. And in today's world, only one of those works, frankly speaking. Okay, so let me explain why as well. So when you talk about the direct connection first, so what happens in direct connection is, so if I minimize this a bit, let me call this direct connection. Okay. So what happens in direct connection is you configure the Trojan client in a certain way that it should open up a port of your choice on the victim. So again, if you configure the port number, let's say 6666 for the Trojan client, what it does is as soon as it is sent to the victim and once it's executed here, that exact port opens up here. So that port number 6666 starts running here in a listening state. And once the port is open here, what the attacker does from the Trojan server is he directly tries to connect to the victim on that port number. So this is called a direct connection. You're opening a port on the victim machine, and from your attacker machine, you're trying to connect to victim here. Okay. But this has two drawbacks. Drawback number one, in order to connect to the victim here, you need to know the victim's IP address. Unless and until you know the victim's IP, you will not be able to communicate with the or connect with the victim on that port number. Secondly, even if there's a firewall will always block this incoming connection from the Trojan server because it's coming from an unknown source. All incoming connections from unknown sources are by default blocked by a firewall. So in direct connection, these are two drawbacks which don't allow you to make this connection possible in today's world. That is why we have something called a reverse connection. Now, what happens in reverse connection is, so let me minimize this a bit. So this is your direct connection here. Okay. Now what happens in reverse connection is, let's say reverse connection. Same thing. You have two devices, one attacker and one victim. No difference at all. So same attacker machine, victim machine. Okay. And on the attacker, you have the Trojan server, TS. TS. And one second. Yeah, that's better. And then you have the TC as well, Trojan client. Okay, but this time, rather than opening a port on the target system, you open up a port on your system itself. So the Trojan server is configured in such a way that whatever port you want to open, that port is opened here in the attacker's machine. So let's say 6666 is opened here. And in the Trojan client, what you do is you send the attacker's IP address. Attacker's IP. So whatever IP the attacker machine has, that IP is sent in the Trojan client. And once this Trojan client is sent to the victim here, this Trojan client's job is to initiate a reverse connection back from the victim to the attacker machine on that port 6666. How does it initiate it back? Because we are sending our IP. They're telling the victim system to connect back on this IP here. And this is called as a reverse connection, where the victim now is connecting back to us. In direct connection, we are connecting from our machine to the victim's machine. In reverse connection, we make the victim machine connect back to us. Now, two advantages. Advantage number one, you do not care about the victim's IP. It is not relevant for you what the victim's IP is because you're providing your IP. and you're making them connect back to you. Okay, so you don't need the IP of the victim. Secondly, even if there's a firewall never blocks an outgoing connection from the firewall believes, okay, the user is himself making this connection. So this is always trusted. Okay. And therefore, this victim's outgoing connection is always allowed. And this still works in today's world. So that is what is reverse connection now. Okay. So this is the main difference between direct and reverse connection, guys. Okay. Is that clear? Any questions or doubts regarding these types of connections? Wamsi, Ben, Charles, Wahab is not there today. Right, perfect. Now let's try to see this practically, guys. So we're going to go with reverse connection directly. Okay, so we won't be going with the direct connection because as mentioned, that won't work in today's world. But before we go with this, we need two machines, as you can see. We need an attacker machine and we need a victim machine as well. So I'm going to show you today how you can create multiple instances of the same operating system, of the same virtual machine. So if you notice over here, I have two Windows 7, a Windows 7 attacker and a Windows 7 victim as well. So how did I do that? Very simple. You go back to the folder where you have the virtual machines. Okay. So this was a zip file which I shared to you the other day. So if you right click on this, click on show more options and click on 7-zip, extract files or extract files. This allows you to create one more extraction. Okay. And when you do that, give the name here as Windows 7 2 or something. Okay. And now when you click on OK, this starts extracting this one more time, as you can see. Okay. Like that, you can extract it as many times as you want, as your storage can hold. And you can create multiple instances of the same virtual machine again. Okay. So I already have this extraction already, if you notice. So I have Windows 7 and I have Windows 7 2 as well. Oh, let me delete this. Yeah. So Windows 7 and Windows 7 2. And in the second extraction, you'll have one more zip file. If you extract that as well, there's a VMX file here. Double click on that VMX file and you can see this is the other machine. You can rename the machines as well. So if you right click on any machine, you can have an option here to rename it. You can call it Windows 7 Attacker or Windows 7 1 and Windows 7 2 or anything like that. Okay, it's your choice. Okay. So just to differentiate between the two machines, two virtual machines. Okay. So in that scenario, guys, we would have two instances. One will be my attacker machine and one will be my victim machine. Okay. So let's get started with the practical now. I'm going to power on both these virtual machines. Let's wait for a while. Yeah. So now here's my attacker machine. Just to differentiate it, I'm going to keep a different wallpaper as well. This is my attacker here. And this is going to be my victim here. As you can see, two different machines, guys. Okay. Attacker and the victim over here. Okay. Now in the attacker machine, let's install the Beast application. So I'll be sharing this Beast application file to you over the email tonight. Okay. By the end of the session. And let's get started with that first. So yes, right. I'm going to delete all this unnecessary data from my machine first. Continue. Okay. So by the end of this class, as mentioned, I'll be sharing this Trojan application. So there are multiple Trojans on the internet, guys. There's one Trojan called Beast Trojan. Okay. So if you go to your browser and if you search for Trojans in GitHub, you get lots and lots of applications online. Okay. There's too many applications available to download for free. Okay. All of these are Trojan applications actually. What we're going to use today is something called Beast Trojan, BEAST, a very popular Trojan available on the internet. As you can see, Beast Trojan horse. Okay, Beast is a Windows-based backdoor Trojan horse, more commonly known in the hacking community as Remote Administration Tool, RAT. It is capable of infecting Windows. Okay, and again, written in Delphi, written by its author. Okay, again, says 95 to XP, seems old, but works on the latest versions as well, guys. But as mentioned, in real time, you're never going to use this tool. It is only used by attackers to show you how Trojan attacks work. Okay, so I'm showing this in my lecture over here as well to show you what the Trojan attack looks like. Okay, but you never use this in real time. Okay, as an ethical hacker, you have to defend your system from these kinds of Trojans. Okay, there's other applications as well. Mido, Stormwall, Conflicker, CryptoLocker. All of these are other Trojans or ransomwares available. Okay. Now, coming back to this, as mentioned, by the end of this class, I'll be sharing this file to you anyhow. Once you have the file, where that's, yeah, Beast Trojan. So I'll be sharing this folder to you. Once you have this folder, we can get started with the practical. Okay. So first things first, in order to share files from one device to the other device. So now this my Trojan over here, Beast Trojan is going to create a Trojan client. And I have to share that Trojan client with the victim as well, right? So there are multiple ways to share this, guys. You can either share it online through a wormhole link, okay, or Google Drive or anything. Or alternatively, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to create a shared folder. So you can share files from one device to the other device very easily. Okay. So in order to create a shared folder, right click anywhere on the screen, click on new and click on folder. Give any name of your choice to this. Let's call this share itself. Okay. And to create a shared folder, your system needs a password first. So if you don't have a password set, please do set a password. It should be password protected. Okay. So if you don't have a password, for example, let's say, so if there's no password, you have to click on create a new password for your account and create a password of your choice. Okay. So having a password is very important for a shared folder. Okay. Once you do have a password, right click on this folder, go to the properties. In the properties now, there are 3 steps. Step number 1, you go to sharing. You click on share. Click on share again. This is step 1. Step number 2, you go to advanced sharing. Click on share this folder. Click on permissions. And in permissions, we give full control to everyone. So everyone in my network can now access this folder, change the contents of his folder, and also view the data of, of that same folder, read the content from the folder. Okay, full control. Click on apply and OK. Apply and OK 2 times. Then you go to third step, which is security. And here now in security, I click on edit. So we have to add a user called everyone here. So click on edit, add a user called everyone. So again, you'll be getting this recording, guys, just in case if you miss out any step. Click on OK. And for everyone now, give full control again. So these are the steps to create a shared folder in your network. Now, whatever I put in this folder, let's say if I create a new text file, let's call this Shoaib. And if I write some data in this, if I put this text file here, now in order to access this file from other machines, all I have to do is get this machine's IP. So this machine is running now on the IP of 192.168.0.9. Okay. So if I had to access this machine in other devices, I have to go to the other device now, open up my run Windows R and give the IP here, do backward slashes, which denotes your network, and the IP 192.168.0.9. Do backward slashes and the IP. Click on OK. It'll ask you the username and password for the other machine. This is why the password is important. You have to enter the username and the password you generated. You can click on remember my credentials just so that you don't have to enter them again and again. Click on OK. And you can see there's a shared folder. And in that folder from that network, I can access the file as well here. Okay. And works in every device in your network. So if I go to my base machine as well, in my base machine, if I open up a run, double backward slash 192.168.0.9, enter the username and password. And you can see there's the shared folder with the file. Works in every system. So this allows you to share files from one device to the other device very easily in your local network. Okay, so that's how you create a shared folder. And this is also going to help us share the Trojan file from my attacker to my victim here now. Okay, so first things first, let's get started with the attack. Beast Trojan. Open the folder Beast 2.7, the latest version for that. And here you have the 207 exe, as you can see. Right click, run it as administrator. And this is what the application looks like. Okay. Once you have the application ready here, first things first, you click on build server. And there are two methods. You can either go for direct connection or a reverse connection attack. And as mentioned in today's world, only reverse connection works. So I'm going to click on reverse connection here. And I can specify a port number of my choice. Let's say on my system, I want to open up the port 6666. Right now, before I initiate this connection, on my system, there is no such port like 6666 open anywhere. Let me increase the font a bit. Yeah. So when I hit enter, oh, sorry, let's start -a and o. There is no such port like 6666 open anywhere right now on my system. Okay, before I initiate this connections. Now, if I give a port number here, 6666, and if I click on notification, so this is the thing to change in basic tab, give the port number. In notification tab, click on get IP. You have to send your IP address to the victim. So when you click on get IP, your IP gets attached in the Trojan client. So click on get IP in notification tab. Nothing to change in startup, nothing to change in antivirus firewall kit. And in miscellaneous, here we have some important options. Option number one is melt server on install. What this does is it hides the application after it gets installed. So you can't even remove the application later on. Enable keylogger to capture the keystrokes on the system. Fake error message to configure an error. So again, when the user runs this application, he gets a fake error like this. So the user is misled into thinking the application is not working, but internally everything is perfectly fine. The Trojan is successfully running. Okay. So again, that gives you a fake error message here. And that's it, nothing more. If you want to delay the execution, you can delay that as well after one system restart or two restarts or on a certain date as well. If you don't want it to run instantly, you can run the Trojan on a certain date of your choice as well. Okay, we don't want that. We want it to run instantly as soon as it is executed. Okay. So there's melt server on install to hide the application, keylogger to capture the keystrokes, and fake error message to mislead the user. And then finally, you just assign an exe icon to it. Okay, give any icon of your choice from here. Or you can choose an icon from the internet as well. Okay, so for now, I'll just go for this icon, zip file icon, and I'll click on save server. And when I do that, you can see in my system, there's an application here generated server.exe. This is my malicious Trojan client. So what we have done now is from the Trojan server, where is my browser? Oh, I closed my browser, my bad. So in my browser, what I've done is, if you remember, from the Trojan server, we created a Trojan client. Okay. And this Trojan client, we have assigned an attacker ID. Now we're going to start listening on this port 6666. Okay. So I'll go back to my attacker. And here in the beast application, I'll give my port number 6666 and I'll click on start listening. And when I do that, if I go to my command prompt now, earlier there was no port like 6666 open. But if I check again, now it should be open. Now you can see there's a port 6666 in a listening state. It's waiting for a connection now. Okay. And while this is waiting now, I'm going to share the application to the victim. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it in the shared folder. And if I want, I can rename this as well. So just to make it look a bit believable, I can call this CEH tools.zip. Okay. And if I hide the extensions, folder and search options, view, hide extensions. Now this looks like a very simple zip file if you notice, chtools.zip. It doesn't show as an exe, as you can see. And now when I share this to the other system, let's see what happens. So right now I don't have any connections here. But if I go to my victim, and let's say I download that exe file now, in real time, it is shared via any email attachment or a link on any social media platform or whatever. Okay. But as soon as I run it here, now carefully observe one more thing. This system has a firewall. If it doesn't, I'm going to switch it on for you. Firewall, Windows firewall. As you can see, the firewall is in a switched on state. It's perfectly fine. There's complete protection here. But as soon as I run this, right click, run as admin. Since I don't see an extract shop option here, I'll run this as admin, obviously. And when I do that, you can see I've got a fake error message here. And as soon as I close the error message, the application hides itself. So the user thinks, okay, application is corrupt. So it got automatically deleted. Nothing is happening here. But if I go back to my attacker now, you can see here, I've got a connection from 0.7. The 0.7 is nothing but my victim machine's IP. So if I go to command prompt and if I type ipconfig, this is 0.7, as you can see. Now my victim machine is remotely connected to the attacker. And once, if I double click on this, I have complete connection to it. And once I've got the connection, I can do all sorts of things. So let's assume on my Windows 7 here, there's a new file. Let's create a new file here. Let's call this sample or something. And let's write some data in this password, show at the rate 123. Okay. So if I copy anything, whatever I do in the keyboard, everything gets captured as well. Okay. So for example, if I go to my attacker now, first things first, if I want file data, so I can click on files here, click on find drives, and I can see the entire file system on the user, on the target system. So if I go to users, root, desktop, I can see all the files on the desktop. There's a folder called freak88, and there's a file called sample, which we just generated. Okay. And if I want to remotely download this, I can now run the command download. So if I select this option, download file, you can see here, it creates a new folder called download. And in that, I have the new file, sample, with the exact data. So I can remotely download files. Not just remotely download, I can delete the file as well. So I can select the file, click on delete file, and now remotely, the file should be deleted. I don't have the file anymore. Not just that, if I want, I can upload files as well. So if I select on upload file, I can select the file from here. I can go to my desktop and these Trojan file show sample. If I click on open and if I click on upload, you can see remotely now, I've got the file back with the same data. So I have remote connections entirely to download any file from that system or upload my files to the remote system as well. So I can upload even more Trojan connections or upload other malicious applications as well. This is all about files now. If I go back, I can also see the clipboard data. So whatever I've copied there, you can see it shows with the keylogger. It captures every single data typed over there. Okay. Not just that, if you want, you can kill processes as well. So if you select processes here, these are all the processes running on the target system. Okay. Now on my target system, there's the command prompt running here, as you can see. And if you want to kill this connection, cmd.exe, I can go to attacker, select cmd here, click on kill process. It kills it as well. So now on the victim machine, it's gone. So if there's a browser running, I can kill the browser. I can close their internet connections as well if I want to. Okay. So this is how I can kill all sorts of connections on the remote system. Not just that, also one more thing. I can remotely crash the device as well. So if I go to Windows here, there's an option called reboot. If I select that, the system automatically restarts. Okay. Lame stuff. Again, I can hide the icons. I can hide the start bar. I can lock the mouse. Okay. Fun stuff. I can lock the CD. I can make them visit a certain URL. Okay. So if I click on go to URL, I can enter a URL here. Let's say if I want them to visit any random website, let's say Facebook itself. Okay. So I'll copy the URL for that. Control C. And if I enter that URL here, and if I click on OK, now remotely, that system should open up the browser and connect on Facebook. As you can see, browser has opened up automatically and they're visiting facebook.com. So I can run applications on their system as make them visit any website of my choice. Okay. Not just that, if I go back here, let's say if I want to hide the mouse, I can hide their system's mouse. And if I want to kill the connection, I can click on kill server. This kills the connection from. Let's not do that. Okay. I can again get the system time as well. So if I click on system time on their system, it shows the exact time for. Okay. Lastly, if I want to shut down the system, I can click on reboot, and you can see the remote system now automatically starts restarting. This shows you what a Trojan can do. Unauthorized and unrestricted connection to the remote system to perform any action of your choice. Okay, so that's what Trojan applications are for. Okay, is that clear, guys? Any questions? Any doubts? Vamsi, Charles, Ben, Wahab. Right. Charles, any questions? Vamsi, any? Okay, good, Vamsi. Right, perfect. Now comes the next important point. How do we prevent these attacks? How do we distinguish between a genuine file and a malicious file? How do we verify if files can be downloaded safely to install them or not? Okay, let's talk about the prevention methods now. So step number 0, and the reason why I call this step 0 is because this is something that you have to remember even if you're not in the cybersecurity domain. Okay, something that you have to remember in your sleep as well. Do not install applications from unknown sources. As simple as that. 90% of your cyber threat attacks can be prevented if you just don't click on links or click on messages or click on attachments from emails from unknown sources. Okay. So if you get an unknown suspicious email from an unknown person who you have never contacted with earlier, and if there's an attachment in that, if you click on that, you never know what it can do. It can install applications and run Trojan connections as well. Okay. So the main important point, do not install or click on applications or links or messages from unknown persons. Okay. Step 0. Step number 1. Now, what if you get it from a known person? So let's say someone hacked my computer, and from my computer, or my email, they sent you an email. Okay. Now I'm a known person to you, but still, even if I'm sending you an application, it's very important, how to verify if that application is safe or not. And there are methods for that. Method number 1, you can use your inbuilt scanner itself. So you don't need any third-party antivirus, any third-party anti-malware, guys. In your system itself, there comes an antivirus, Windows Defender, and that does a great job of again detecting applications or malicious applications. Okay, so if you ever get an application from an unknown source, all you have to do is right-click on that application and run a Defender scan on it. As simple as that. So if there's this application, let's say Telegram, right-click on that, click on Show More Options, scan with Microsoft Defender. As simple as that. Okay, and you can see it scans the file and shows you how many threads are there. Okay, this is one method, step 1, basic method. But if you still don't trust Windows Defender, there's one more better way. There's a website called Virus Total. So if you go to your browser, in your browser, there's a website, Virus Total, and this is basically an antivirus database. So your antiviruses work on something called signatures. Okay. Whenever there's a malicious file, the antivirus generates a hash value for it, a hash or a signature, and that signature is updated in its database. So your antiviruses are databases of all signatures of all malicious files that have ever existed. And in your system, if any of such a file exists and if the signature matches, it terms that file as malicious. Okay. So this virus total is as a database of all signatures from all antiviruses. Okay. So for example, if I choose a malicious file here, okay, so let's say I'm going to download the same beast Trojan file now. So in my Windows 7 attacker, in the shared folder, I have the file here, chtools.zip. So I'm going to download that in my base machine now. Okay. So Windows R 0.9, and I'll copy this file to my desktop here. But since I have Defender, it might automatically delete it as you can see. It's not allowing me to download it. Okay. So I'm going to switch off my Defender first. Defender, virus and threat protection, manage settings. I'm going to switch off my Defender first. So these options should always be switched on for your Defender to work properly. If they are switched off, then you can get malware on your system. Okay. Yeah, as you can see now, the file got successfully copied. So as long as your Defender is running, you can be a bit less worried about malware coming on your system. Okay. And now in my virus total application, I'm going to upload this file. Choose file. I'm going to select that file now, which is chtools.zip. Again, when I upload it here now, as you can see, confirm upload. It's now calculating the hash value for it. Okay. So this was the hash, this was the hash generated for that application. And this hash is the signature, is the unique code for this malware. And your antiviruses, whenever they have this code, and if it matches with their database, it flags it as suspicious or backdoor, as you can see, Trojan. So these are all the antiviruses that VirusTotal has. And you can see a very few popular names as well. Dr. Web, GData, K7 Antivirus, Malwarebytes, Max Secure, Microsoft, okay, Tencent. And then there is Max, Kaspersky, K7, Icarus, Elastic, Escan, Bitdefender, Avast, Avira. Okay, these are all the antiviruses. And out of the 74 antiviruses that this website has, 64 of them have flagged this as malicious, as you can see. So whenever you get a file from an unknown source, rather than directly install it, upload it to this website first, virustutor.com. And this website tells you if the application is safe or not. If it's malicious, they get flagged as malicious here, as you can see. And even if you get more than half of them flagged as malicious, it's better you stay away from it. Okay. Now, if I upload a genuine file, let's see what that looks like. If it's a safe file. So I go one step back. And I choose a genuine file now. Let's say go to meetings. It's computing the hash for it. And once the hash is calculated, checks the hash if it's available in any of the databases. And you can see out of all the 71 antiviruses, 0 of them have flagged it as malicious, which means this is completely safe. No security vendors and no sandboxes flag this file as malicious, which means it's a safe application. Okay. And when you upload a malicious application, where is that? Let me go to my desktop. If I upload a malicious application, you can see this is what it looks like. Suspicious, malicious, backdoor. Okay. Detected a backdoor, Trojan attack. Okay. So this is how the malicious app looks like. Okay. So this is one way to verify if the file that you're executing is safe or not. Now, last scenario. What if you have already executed? Oh, one second. Yeah, chance. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Good question. Now let's assume the file is about the size limit mentioned. But does it mention 650 MB here anywhere? I can't remember. Is it mentioning any limit here? If as last I remember, I think it can upload files. So, mhm. Hmm. Okay, no worries, just in case. Now, another alternative method in such a scenario is you checking the hash yourself, Charles. That would be the only other alternative available. So, for example, let's say I send you a Kali file. Okay, your Kali OS file is usually around 2 GB or 3 GB, let's say. So, if I go to the Kali OS, you can see when I click on download here. Now, when I click on download, if I click on virtual machines, when I click on download, now this file is definitely about 750 MB. Okay. But most of these applications, when you download them from the internet, they have something called a checksum value, its own hash value, as you can see. So if you're getting an application, let's say from an unknown source, and they term that it's so and so application, first thing you have to do is rather than executing it, you have to calculate the hash value for it. For example, if you're getting the VLC media player or even your Kali file, which is about 3 GB, okay, you can see this is the hash value for it. Okay, it's SHA-256 checksum. Okay. Now you would have a question, how do I verify the checksum in my system? For that, we have an application called Hashcal. Okay. So this Hashcalc application can be downloaded from any of these websites here. Click on the first link, click on free download. And once you download this and install it, a very simple installation, you would have an application as such. I should have Hashcal on my system somewhere. Yeah, here. Okay. So this is a Hashcal application. Okay. And in this, you can select the file. So for example, if I browse and go to my system here now, hmm, where is this? Where is this? Where is this? Oh, yeah, here. So let's have the Kali file here. I'll click on this and I'll click on open. And now when I click on calculate, this is now going to generate a hash for that file which I've downloaded. So whenever you get a file about 270 GB or so, if possible, go to the official website of that file. So whatever application, you usually they get shared as applications to you. Okay. So go to the official website of the file. Okay. And check the actual hash value for that file. And once you get the actual hash value, whatever file you have downloaded on your system, calculate the hash value for that as well with hash calc. And now try matching them. So I'll select this entire hash from here, Control C, and I try to verify it with the official website here. So this was the hash which I got from my system here. And this is the actual hash from the website here. Let me paste it in one more tab. And you can see this hash and this hash are exactly matching. When the hash matches, it means it's the same file. If the hash doesn't match, it means that the file that you're getting and the file that is available in the official website is different. And if it is different, it could have chances of a malware. We can never be sure. Okay. So in such a scenario, this is one method. Or alternatively, it might not work, but there might be chances it might work as well. No matter what the file size is, you scan it with Defender again. Okay. And if your Defender can detect that, it will show you. Okay. So that is another alternative available. Exactly, Charles. Right. Again, a very rare case method, because I'm pretty sure whenever some malware is being sent to you, it will never be sent in such a huge file because they want the users to click on it and instantly download it. So your hackers want the procedure to be as easy and as simple as possible. Okay. So even when you get it in a pen drive, even in that pen drive, the file that you have of malware will always be within megabytes itself, 10 megabytes, 12 megabytes, or 1 megabyte as well. Okay. So all you got to do is scan that entire pen drive first with Defender, and then you can scan individual files as well, one by one from the pen drive as well. Okay, using the Virus Total website. Okay, so that's one more alternative. Okay. Now, last scenario: what if the malware is already installed on your system and you have no clue about it? In such a scenario, how do you scan your system for malwares which are pre-installed already? The best method for that is again, you have a tool, inbuilt tool in your system called MRT. You can search for MRT. This stands for Microsoft Malicious Software Removal Toolkit. Okay. People usually go for Microsoft Defender itself. So there's one more called Defender, as we have talked. Oh, sorry, wrong option. Defender. And in your Defender also, you get an option to scan the entire system. So if you could click on virus and threat protection, if you click on scan options, you can scan your entire system with a Defender offline scan. So it scans your system, takes around 15 to 20 minutes, scans all the applications and tells you if there are any malicious applications or not. Okay. But this will not scan the entire file system. It doesn't scan your inbuilt operating system files, DLL files, registry files. Those are not scanned. It scans only on the top for all the malicious third-party applications. Okay. But if you want an in-depth scan, there's something called MRT. Okay. And this scan takes at least 8 to 10 hours to complete. So it scans every single file from your system. Okay. No matter what third party application it be, no matter what inbuilt operating system file it be, booting files, kernel files, bootloader files, DLL files, other configuration files, it scans for every single file on your system. Okay. So when you run the full scan, this takes at least 6 to 8 hours or 8 to 10 hours, depending on your system's storage. So I would recommend you run the scan at least once a month. Okay. So on any certain weekend when you're not going to use your system for at least 8 10 hours, and on that duration, you just run this full scan, and this scans your entire system for any sort of malwares. Not many people know about this tool, this inbuilt tool available in your Windows system. Okay. So this Windows malicious software removal toolkit runs and scans every single file on your system and tells you if there are any malicious apps available. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further for our session today, guys. This concludes the malwares topic. In the next session, we're going to talk about Wireshark scanning and sniffing with Wireshark analyzing. Oh yeah, Charles. Right. Oh yeah, Charles, I'm gonna share it today. I could not convert that recording, Charles. I missed out that recording. It got corrupted. But although I do have the recording from other batches, I'm gonna share that tonight. I couldn't share it yet because I could not convert the recording successfully. So I'll be sharing that and today's recording together. Same content, just a different batch. Okay, right. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further for our session today, guys. Let's disconnect here and connect back tomorrow at the same time to talk about sniffers, wild shark. Bye bye. Good day. Oh, let's try this weekend, Charles. If everyone is available at the weekend for Saturday, we can try to take up a session. Yes. Or again, I'll try to take slightly longer sessions on the weekdays itself. About 45-minute sessions. I try to cover a 1 hour, 1 hour, 10 minutes. That should also compensate for the missed class. Okay. So either that should work. We'll figure it out. Okay. And yeah, any other questions? Charles, Wamsi, Ben, Wahab. Okay, cool. I'm going to share the Beast application. I'm going to share the recordings. I'm going to share the yeah previous recording as well. And yeah, let's see how it goes from there. Bye bye.